movie is an adaptation of a Wattpad story turned YA novel, and the QB Bad Boy and Me, like other Wattpad stories, has a large, passionate group of readers. Did you feel any pressure to get this adaptation right, and what do you think is special about this story?
Absolutely. Like so much
Take it
pressure.
away. Yeah.
But it was also so exciting because we knew going into it that it was a beloved story. So, of course you're carrying that, but it's also very humbling and oh, it was so exciting to bring to life. I think that it has a lot of depth and emotional family dynamics and themes that maybe the book didn't have, but as much.
Yeah, I think your job is to just try to be as faithful as you can, but also put your twist on it as an artist. But at the end of the day, you want to take those themes, you want to do them justice, and I truly believe that if you are a fan of the book, you'll be a fan of this movie too.
For sure, for sure. Sienna, you play a dancer and a cheerleader in this movie. What kind of preparation did you have to do for this film?
I well, leading up to it, we this project was actually like 2 years-ish into the making. So I
Wow.
began dance classes uh, 2 years before we started filming, and then it was on pause, and I sort of paused. But I just tried to take as many as I could while I was in school, and up until we got into pre-production, I worked with Jeffrey Mortensen and Tessa Tamira, who were choreographers, and yeah, they were so patient. We did a lot of work beforehand to make what we had in the film. Yeah.
So you were one of the people who was happy for the strike. You're like 7 months. I get to
Dance,
I get to
dance.
dance. All right, yeah, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready. Give me some time. All right, that's
More
good.
Exactly.
time to rehearse.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes, I love that. So this film marks Noah Beck's acting debut. What was it like working with him, and did you guys give him any tips?
Oh,
It was like
that's a flattering question. I mean, Noah, to me, I had no idea what to expect. Noah, I had no idea what to expect.
what?
Checked
Sorry, let's move on from that.
off that.
No, I he is like the nicest guy. Really, like really respected the craft, came at it very humbly, had no airs about him, had no ego about him. I think it was one of those things where at first it was like, like yeah, if you need anything, but he did really great, and I don't think he needed my help at all. He was fantastic.
What do you think, Sienna?
I second that. I think respect was a great word to use. He did respect it and he respected people on set. He also just wanted to grow. And he kept saying that
Mhm.
from the beginning and would text me beforehand and ask for tips. And like I was hesitant to give them because I
Yeah.
wanted to see what he had to bring first. And like I didn't want to influence him in any way, starting out. And then he just took it and ran and just wanted to soak it all in. And that's what he
Yeah.
did. He's a natural.
Yeah, and I think I always say too, like, anytime somebody asks me for advice or something, I'm like, ask me in 50 years when I know more, because maybe I don't know what I'm
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
So
Things are always changing too,
true.
for sure. So Drew, you of course starred in one of the most popular high school TV shows, Riverdale. What was it like being a high school football coach this time?
Yeah, I mean, I played football for a lot of years. I was very familiar with that. Obviously, Riverdale had a huge football presence, very Americana. But yeah, I guess you could say it prepped me in the right way. I never got to actually play football on the show, and I've yet to suit up and actually play. But I got close. I got the whistle. I got the clipboard, so I'm happy with that.
We need to have you actually get to play in a
One
role.
of these days, while my legs can still handle it.
You're like, I have an age limit, so I need to do it before I get there. This movie stars beloved actor James Van Der Beek. What was it like working with him and also seeing him at the premiere last night after he recently opened up about his health?
James is such a beautiful, beautiful human.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He walking on set, even just the first day, I mean, everyone respected him, like, but he just brought such great energy to set.
Mhm.
And we were laughing our heads off, and then the minute it turned into the scene, it was just like honestly, sometimes it was hard to take yourself out of it watching him and like
Right.
he's just so captivating. But a lovely human being. Yeah.
Yeah. James is wonderful. And I've been so fortunate too with Riverdale. We got to work with people, part of his class like Luke
Hmm.
Perry, Skeet Ulrich, and one thing I've noticed, same thing with James that he has as well, is that when you meet them, they're very like everything's easy, everything's great. But you're right, as soon as it's like action, they drop in, they come prepared, they're
Yeah.
professionals, they have long-lasting careers for a reason. It's something that everyone should take note of. And yeah, it was quite inspiring.
And one thing that we noticed is that, in Varsity Blues, of course, but he's one of the films he's known for, he has a football obsessed father. And in this film, he plays a football obsessed father. And I was wondering, have you guys ever seen Varsity Blues?
No, I actually haven't. I'm like so embarrassed to admit it. I think it was just before me. I watched Friday Night Lights. That was like my big football
Yes.
movie and show, but I never saw Varsity Blues.
I'm glad you answered first because I haven't either. So you can take the
It's
blow.
okay.
Yeah. Oh, I had a feeling this question would come up, and I had all last night to watch it, and I didn't. But it's okay.
At one point in this film, Dallas finds herself struggling to get out of her head and let go while working on her routine. Have you ever experienced a block like this in your careers? And if so, how did you get out of it?
Absolutely. Like I think that's just inevitable when it comes to art as well, because
Hmm.
creatively there's a block and also there's powers that you are not in control of,
Mm,
such as creatives around you, and like all you
Right,
can do is you want to just let go, but it is really hard when you love something so much, but that is the price of passion, and I think it's worth it. But how do I get out of my head, I think, is creating more life around you and engaging with
right.
that so that it doesn't feel like such a loss when
mm.
you feel like your plans are not going like the way that it's supposed to. I think it is just an ever-growing process, and that's just the beauty of it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think I come from that sort of football background where practice makes perfect.
Mhm.
Right.
And when I started acting out of high school, I brought that same work ethic.
Hmm.
Practice makes perfect. If you want to get something right, you got to do it 100 times. You got to do it every single day. And then you realize, oh, I'm in an artistic medium that doesn't care sometimes how much I want it or how much I practice it or do it
Hmm.
religiously. A lot of times it has its own timeline and you can't fight that timeline. Yeah, sometimes, no matter how much you work at something, things have a way of presenting themselves at the right exact time. And you just have to learn to sort of embrace that a bit. It took me a while to learn how to embrace that. And speaking of hitting blocks and hitting a mental block,
Hmm.
that's very hard for somebody who's like very disciplined to explain to. Like, you just might not have the answers right now. He's got to wait it out.
You guys play siblings in this movie. How did you tackle that sibling bond?
Mm. I like how you threw in tackle in there. We're keeping this on topic. Keeping this.
Intentional. So I love that that was thrown in there. So
I
you
mean,
guys know who
like
that
I've always been saying, I always wanted a little sister. Ever since I was growing up, I always wanted a little sister. This was like an opportunity to really dive into that headspace. So maybe I came at it like really chomping at the bits, and Sienna just indulged me. I don't know. Maybe that's what it was.
I think from the get-go, I was so intimidated by Drew coming into it, but in the best way. Like, I remember watching Drew in the table read, and I don't know if I turned to Justin or whoever, but I was so excited for this relationship because I was so eager to like, oh, like you could feel it in the table read. I don't know, we just kind of clicked. I think we both went into it knowing that we wanted to have that sort of bond and bond bond there happens.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. It's like you don't always get all the time to sort of meet your cast beforehand. And sometimes it's
right.
right at the table read.
Hmm.
And or sometimes it's like a blind date. You gotta go in with blind faith and just be like, all right, let's see if we connect. And sometimes you don't. And when
Yeah.
you do, it's like a breath of fresh air and it's the best thing in the world. And it makes your job a whole lot easier. And every day coming in and working with Sienna. Like if I saw her on the call sheet or I knew, I mean, most of my scenes were with you, but if I knew you were going to be there that day, I was super stoked, super excited.